Hey everybody, welcome to this week's live stream. I hope everybody's doing great today. So I was watching the news and it looks like there's been some snow all over the country. We've gotten some snow here, so hopefully you guys are staying warm and it's not too blizzardy. But anyway, today we are going to be turning up the baby powder blanks. And so I'm pretty excited about this. I think it's going to be pretty fun to see how these things turn out. If you weren't here last week, we were playing with baby powder, which is basically just talc. Some of the baby powders have, and I think a lot of the newer ones, the one that I had was like, it had like an expiration date on it from like 2019 or something like that. So it's a little bit older and it has talc. And some of them do have talc in there, and then some of them have corn flour, I think, or something like that. So it depends on, which one you have. I don't know that there's any difference between any of these types of things. Flour itself is probably the same. And many of the other types of things like arrowroot powder, I think, is another thing that people use that's similar. So I think that all these kind of probably fall into the same category, and I don't know that there's any difference between any of them necessarily. But we did talc, and it was kind of interesting. So the first thing that we wanted to try to do was see if it, excuse me, got a frog, see if it tamed the color bleed issue. And I want to state one more time with the color bleed thing, it's not really like it's a problem per se. With the, like the divine pigments, like your opaque pigments, the liquid pigments, it's not really like a problem, like overwhelming problem or anything like that, as long as you pour at the right temperature, which is kind of how, it doesn't matter if you're using micas or whatever. If you don't wait till it's starting to thicken up and get that right time to pour, you're going to get some color bleed no matter what, or it's going to kind of wash out a little bit. So, that's just a given, let's say. And as long as you do that, generally there's not really a big problem. So I just want to mention that. I was sending out the email newsletter, and I'm like, this is like the third week in a row we're talking about color bleed, and it's not a problem, and I don't want to scare anybody away from trying to use liquid pigments. It's not a scary thing. You're not going to get a bunch of color bleed. The thing is, blue and yellow is absolutely notorious. Like you're going to get color bleed pretty much. I don't care what you do, as far as I'm concerned. If you're, doing like a color swirl type of a deal. And I don't care if you're pouring vertically, if you're pouring in a brick mold or something like that, generally it's going to bleed together, and that's the problem that I'm trying to solve. There are some other colors. Orange and blue tends to, what ends up happening is it's not like this like overwhelming like color bleed issue like look. What happens is some areas where, especially where there's like thin strands kind of woven together, like swirled together, it may kind of turn a little bit like a darker color, kind of brownish. Same thing with yellow and purple. You'll get kind of little brown areas where it just kind of, you can tell that something's going on there, and it darkens in some areas. It's not particularly terrible. And I the only blanks that I don't make, that I just gave up on, is yellow and blue. There's nothing that I could figure out so far, and it's been 10 years, right, would solve the problem of yellow and blue turning into green. And in some cases you may not care, it's not like it's like terrible or anything like that, but if you're going for like blue and yellow and no green, then it's a problem. So that was what we were trying to do, and I just wanted to kind of make a little disclaimer statement about that. Don't worry, go in there and try some of these, liquid pigments and your dyes and all that stuff. It's really fun. I will say that micas, I think for like beginners, if you're just literally your like first month of doing casting, I think you should maybe just go with micas, because they tend to be a little bit more beginner friendly. They're bigger chunks of color. They don't tend to bleed as much. And even if they do bleed or something like that, they look good anyway. It's not like it ruins the blanks or anything like that. Sometimes if you don't have the right timing and stuff like that, if you're just starting out, why add more frustration or things to think about is kind of my approach. Like, get some good wins, some nice looking blanks out the gate, and once you start kind of getting the feel for resin, then go get some liquid pigments and play with it and have fun. Worst case scenario, if you do get, color bleed or something goes wrong, it doesn't matter what goes wrong. you might learn something, and it's really not the worst thing in the world. I mean, it's just resin casting. So, just laugh at it, throw them away, or turn them and make something funny out of them. But don't worry too much. It's not a big deal. So let's see here. Who we got? We got Mike McEwen's here. He's got a guild meeting. Okay, that's cool. And if you can't stay, or if you missed the live, obviously we do the replays, so you can always watch later on. We got Jennifer and Kim, and I'm guessing that's Amy, maybe, from Turner's TV. And we got Bruce in the house. Vinny's here. And Homer Lex. Oh man, did you guys see the awesome ornaments that Mike Homer Lex made? If you didn't see the winner pick thing, the live stream from last week on Wednesday from Turner's Warehouse, go and check that out. Oh my God. This year's auction bidding for the ornaments is going to be insane. Like, I don't even, where do you start? There's so many good ones. We didn't even see them all. Like, just the winners and all that stuff. Oh man, it's going to be a good year. So make sure to get out there and get on the auctions. Amy, remind me, I always forget. When is the auctions? When do they start? So let's see here. Who else we got? We got Mark and Lilia's here. Kevin's here. Nice. You got pens to turn. That's funny. Calvin, nice. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, those team color blanks, they're pretty fun. Let's see here. Kev's here. And let's see here. David. I think that's it. If I missed you, I apologize. So anyway, let's get the overhead camera going so we can see what we got. Okay, so let's start with the color bleed. So we tried the first thing last week. We tried to do baby powder just to see if for some reason that would stave off color bleed. And I didn't polish these or anything like that. These are the first two that we did the week before. And I don't know. There's still green tinge to this. So now the one thing is, let's see here. No, sorry. These two, let's see here. Am I going crazy? These two were actually the baby powder ones that we did on the stream. And there's green tinge. So these were actually from last week. What I did was, we didn't put much baby powder in these. These ones we put a ton in. And I thought, and it was super thick and crazy. So I was like, okay, let me go back and put about the same amount of baby powder. I just made one blank and did that with a lot more baby powder, and there's no difference really. So I don't think that it's going to fix the problem. You can even see on the edges there's some green, and some of this actually has to do with, I think your just eye picks out green. It's not super green, but I don't like it. So I don't think that worked. I don't think baby powder is going to save you from yellow and blue mixing together. Now, the second round, we just picked some random colors and we put a bunch of baby powder in, quite a bit. And these things are pretty wicked looking. It kind of dulled the colors. Like these colors, had I just put them in there, would have been a lot brighter. And then we swirled 3 of them. And Kim on the short, the YouTube short of demolding these, she's like, oh, did you remember to pull out the ones and keep the ones separate that you marked on the mold? And of course I did not. However, you can see, I use the stir stick. You can see where the swirl marks are on these ones. So these ones, obviously I stirred up, and then these ones, there were no swirl marks on the sides anywhere. So I figured it out. And it was like, technically it was 3, 4, 5. There should be one more, I think, but I don't know where that went. So, 6, 7. Okay, so there's 7 of them. So anyway, we got this one. I chose this one. I knew that this was a swirly one. So we're going to turn one of these guys up. And this one I could tell was not a swirly. So we're going to do 2 different pens. And big thank you to Turner's Warehouse. They sent me a box full of kits. I told you I was running low. And they did not disappoint. Oh my God. They sent all kinds of really awesome kits. So I chose a banker to do today, and we're just going to go with a chrome. I don't know which ones, which one we're going to do. I don't think it really matters. And Sirocco. This is one of the Buford ink ones, and so these are both like a Sierra style kit, but pretty cool. The bankers are pretty awesome. I've done one before. I haven't done, I don't think, a Sirocco, but you can see like It's got some interesting stuff like on the nib section and all that stuff, some cool details, a little bit different than a normal Sierra, so that's pretty cool. And even the banker's a little bit different. We'll cover all this stuff. I'll show it obviously out of the bag when we're doing the assembly. So we're going to go over to the lathe. We're going to turn these guys up. It should be fairly quick. A couple things that I wanted to mention. In that kit, or in that package that they sent with the kits, one thing that they sent, and I didn't even know about this, they sent a couple of these pieces. So I've talked about these before, the Element series pen kits that they make. They're 100%, they're not plated. They're like actual brass, like turned out of brass, like on a metal lathe. And copper and stainless steel and aluminum. And so the cool thing about these is you can actually patina these. All right, so this is an Element Junior. And the Element series, they've got like a Sierra type, they've got a cigar type, and they've got a Junior type. They've got all those platings for each one of those things. But what I didn't know is you can also make fountain pens. They have the fountain pen nib instead of a roller ball if you wanted to do a fountain. And the one question I was like, okay, that's cool. They sent these, but I was like, do I have the right nibs? And they do. I do have the right nibs. They're a number 6 Yovo. So that's pretty sweet. And so again, you can also do the patinaing. So one of these days I need to do that. And maybe I might even break out the video equipment and do that someday when I have some time. But you can like fume it with like different like ammonia or I don't know. There's all kinds of different ways to impart a patina on this stuff, on brass and copper. Most of which you like fume it with some sort of a chemical. So it's pretty cool, and it changes the color and all that kind of stuff. And even if you don't do like a full patina, just using these with the oils in your fingers is going to patina it over time. So that's kind of cool, but you can also do like some really cool effects basically. So I wanted to mention that. And then the other two, kind of the same thing, things that I wanted to mention before we get over to the lathe. So Turner's Warehouse is going to have some massive deals for Black Friday coming up. And there are too many for me to even like approach mentioning. But I did look at just kind of the quick page. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a link to their Instagram. I would highly, if you're not following them on Instagram, definitely, what the heck just happened? Definitely follow them. Copy and paste. There we go. Head over to Instagram and follow them on Instagram so that you know what the deals are. But basically, they are going to be starting on this upcoming Tuesday, and it's going to run through, I believe Chad said, Saturday, Sunday, I don't know. Let's see, what did he say? That's not it. I think he might have just said they're starting Tuesday. I don't know how long they go. I'm sure that they definitely go through Saturday, since that's Small Business Saturday, maybe into next week. But make sure to see what the deals are and check stuff out. So I was looking at their page, and they have a post, and he sent the pictures also. And I mean, there's stuff going from like 15 to 20, maybe even higher % off. Couple notable things that I saw in there. We were talking about this last week. If you want to get into the ring making stuff, and you want to pick up one of those little ring making stations, that is going to be on sale. Get this stuff out of the way. I don't know exactly what all it comes with. I don't think it comes with paintbrushes. I'm not sure. But it has like a whole kit, so you can start getting into the ring making, and you don't need a lathe or anything like that. It's a little station. It's got the mandrels. It's got your UV resin. It comes with a flashlight to cure the UV resin. It comes with nail polish. Sometimes you want to back paint the channel of your ring. It comes with some little tweezers, I'm pretty sure, and all the stuff you need, basically. I think it even might come with some of the little like glitters and things. I'm not 100% sure, but basically, if you get that kit, you can start making rings. I think it might even come with rings. I don't know. So that's a really cool one. And literally, you can just sit there, like at the kitchen table or wherever. You don't need any special place or a workshop or any of that stuff. Like, you can literally just do this inside anywhere you want. So that's a really cool one. They got all kinds of knife making stuff that's going to be on sale. They've got obviously pen kits. One thing that I saw, the bankers, we're going to be making a banker pen. Those are on sale for Black Friday. I don't know. There's a couple of the different junior variants that I noticed. I think 15 to 20% off. I'm not sure exactly how much percent, but pretty awesome deals. So make sure to head over there. Like I said, this starts on Tuesday. It's going through the week. He might have said Tuesday to Tuesday. So for a whole week, they've got deals. And I don't know if they're doing this, but in the past, sometimes they like drop little things. That's why you should really follow them on Instagram, because sometimes they're like, oh, by the way, we're going to do this right now. So make sure to follow them, turn on the notifications so you make sure you see all the good deals that are happening. Okay, so pretty awesome stuff. And then for me, I'm going to be doing a Black Friday sale. And this year, in the past, I've done things where I'm like, okay, on Friday, we're going to do this, and it's this much on this product. I'm not messing with that this year, and I don't think anybody else particularly enjoys any of that stuff. I don't. So this year, I'm just gonna start, and I'm gonna be a purist. Everybody seems to be. It's like Black Friday year this year. Like, I'm doing Black Friday. Okay, so it's Black Friday. I'm gonna go through Saturday, Sunday, and then on to Cyber Monday. So it's gonna be a 4-day sale, and just everything on my website is 20% off. Any of those days, you don't need a code. Well, actually, you do need a code. Hold on, sorry guys. Actually, I'm not even gonna do a code. So for most things, you don't need a code. The one thing that you're gonna need a code for is my ebook. That one's a special deal. I do 50% off the Beginner's Guide to Resin Casting. You're gonna need a code for that one. So be looking on Instagram or sign up for my email newsletter to get the code on that, okay? Everything else on my website is just 20% off. It's just gonna be site-wide. Everything's 20% off because I like easy, and I think everybody's sick of all these deals and codes and 3 years of Black Friday sale. So Friday through Monday, easy peasy. Okay, so you just posted the flyer. Nice. Yeah, I actually just saw that today too. He sent me a text with these things, and then I was opening Instagram and it was there too. So Black Friday, I don't know about any other sales that are going on. I'm sure everybody on the planet's having Black Friday sales. So if I like notice anything that I'm like, you got to get in on this, if it's like a turning related thing or blanks or resin casting or something like that, I might drop some stuff if I see something that I'm like, whoa, you got to get on this one. So follow me on Instagram and emails to get all that info. So with that all said, happy Black Friday to everybody. Hopefully you'll get some good deals and stock up on either presents, gifts, or, I mean, it's not a bad thing to just buy some stuff for yourself at a discount. Why not? So let's head over to the lathe and turn up some pens. So I think let's go for the non-swirled one first. So we did not use a mixing stick. One thing I also want to note, one of these tubes for some reason got bent, or I don't know, something is going on and I can't get so that one fits. I can't get my TBC bushing to go into one of the sides. It's really weird. So this one works, and this is the one we're going to turn first. The other one, though, doesn't. And it's just one side. So like something got kind of kinked or something. And looking in there, there's like a kink. So this side works, not works. And I actually cut my finger trying to get the bushing out of this side. So it just won't go in there. It must have got kind of bent or kinked. So in this case, if you have standard, like, for whatever kit you're doing, but this is a Sierra style, the standard bushings usually have zero, they're crappy tolerance. Like they're like way smaller than the tube, and they wobble around and all that stuff. That's why I don't really like them. But if you have the adapter bushings, then you can pull out, and so you would need to have the normal standard style bushing and an adapter kit to do this, but that's how I'm gonna fix this situation. It works with that one, doesn't work with the better tolerance. So that is kind of, I guess, maybe one drawback to they have really good tolerance, and if your tube is bent, you're kind of screwed. But I don't know how to fix that. I was trying to kind of maybe like use a drill. I don't know. Chad, do you have any, is Chad here? Do you have any like tips on like if you got a tube for some reason that's messed up and your bushing doesn't fit, like what to do? I don't know. You could maybe like try to, if you have the right, like the perfect size drill bit or something like that, just chuck it up in a collet chuck and then, but I don't know. I don't really think that that's a great idea. I don't think it'll actually work that well, but I don't know, maybe somebody else has a good idea on that. One thing that I do sometimes after you've, sanded or squared up the ends, one thing that I do, you could try one of the pen mill things, but I don't think that would have done anything. These are meant to like mill out the inside, but I think it fits. That's the wrong side. Yeah, it fits in there fine. It's just the bushings are closer tolerance. So I have this little thing that I use to like round over the edges. And if there's glue in there, and there's not glue, that's the thing. It's not glue. It's just like the tube is bent or something. So I'll go in there and like kind of grind out some stuff with this little tool. And it works okay. It's really hard to sharpen, but I tried that and I really, really worked on it and it still didn't fix the problem. So I don't know. It's a weird one today, but we're going to get through it. But it is a good idea to, if you want to pick up some bushings, the tbcbushings.com, Brian over there, he does, I think, the best. I mean, they are excellent, but he has a set of the adapters. So if you ever wanted to pick those up, I think that's a good thing to have because not every pen kit, I don't necessarily recommend, especially if you already have all the standard bushings for like the mandrel style. If you've got a bunch of those already, go pick up a set of adapters because you're still going to get a better, more accurate turn, even adding that extra component compared to a mandrel. But you'll be able to turn between centers with that, so it's pretty cool. All right, so I got to open the YouTube app so I can see the chat because I'm asking questions and I'm not going to get any answers if I don't look. Let's see here. Let's go to my channel. Go to this thing. There's the chat. Transfer punt. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Punch. That might have worked. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Hopefully the pen kit does too. Yeah, that's true. Let's try this punch idea. Yeah, Brian's bushings are the best. There are some pretty good ones. I mean, the ones that Turner's Warehouse has are good. They work fine. It's just if you want the best ones, Brian's are excellent. And he can make any size you want for any kit. If you're doing like a one-off pen kit, like and you already have the other standard bushings, that's where the adapters really shine. Because, for me to like order a special set of bushings from Brian for a pen kit that I'm going to turn once, like really, I probably not. Oh, that might work actually. Let's see. Let me double check. So hold on a minute, guys. I forget which side is the problem. That one is the problem. And I gotta watch out so I don't cut myself. You gotta watch out when you're trying to pull those TBC bushings out. Like I ripped my finger there. So it's tough. This is the size higher than the Sierra, and so I'm just kind of trying to shove it in there, but it's really too big. Just trying to kind of open it up just a little bit. I may need to pull out some tools here to get this thing off. There we go. I've got another bushing Sierra size. That's helping. That helped. I think that's probably good enough. I'll give it one more shot here. There we go. That opened it up just a little bit more. Now I'm probably going to need to get some pliers out. This is another good reason to have a collet chuck too. I don't want to mount it to the lathe, but you know, you can, is this the right size? I think it is. You can mount these round blanks in a collet chuck. Now, obviously I can't really super tighten this down, but if you need to do things like this, not a bad idea to actually have a collet chuck so you can, you know, just for work holding. If you're doing random things like this. See, look at that. Easy. Great idea, guys. Thank you for the tips. I didn't even think about that. If you're gonna run into something where you need like perfect sizes, you know, of things, there are things called reamers that you can get to like very exact dimensions that will just kind of ream out the inside bore of stuff. But I have a feeling that to get like a perfect size that you need, it may not really be worth your money to do that or to find it. All right, so let's get started here. We're back on track. All right, so baby powder. Now, I don't really think this is going to turn badly. The Wolverine, or you know, like whatever, the blue and yellow ones turn fine. I got to open up the thingy here. There we go. In fact, I would actually say this might be softer than normal Alumilite clear. It's definitely not going to blow up, I don't think. Now, the Wolverine blanks were a little bit, I turned them quicker. So this one's had a little bit more time to cure. But the ribbons are fine. They're not, like I said, it almost feels a little bit softer than normal Alumilite clear slow. You can already see, I think the colors are going to be a little bit more like a pastel. Almost kind of looks like a concrete type of surface, possibly. It'll be interesting. Polishing might also be a lot different. I have a feeling that if I had to guess, they probably aren't going to polish as like glossy. I don't know. They turn fine though, they turn great. I'm using a standard cutter. Yeah, like I said, the shavings feel fine. So let's stop and let's see what we got. Do a little bit of a progress check. I think bare minimum, this might be an interesting blank. You know, I don't think that this is going to solve any color bleed issues, but with yellow and blue or anything like that. But let me turn down the light so I have it on full blast. That looks pretty awesome, though, I think. A couple other random thoughts. So, you're not going to need as much pigment to make it opaque. In fact, probably not much at all. The thing is though, the more pigment you add, probably the more bright the color is going to be. It's kind of almost similar to the issues that I have with Alumilite white, where you have to overcome, you know, in clear resin, you don't necessarily need a lot of dye or pigment to make color because it's just clear, right? But in this case, you know, the resin itself, before we put pigment in, was like gray, kind of, or like it looked like plaster type of a thing. That's pretty cool. So again, this is the one we didn't stir up or anything. We just poured. It's looking pretty neat though. Now, I don't know how economical it's going to be to like mass produce a bunch of these with dumping a ton of baby powder in them. I think it's worth investigating, like how much do you really need to get kind of similar effects. And I can go through and let you know how much we actually put in, or you can go back and watch the stream last week. Looking pretty good on the shape. Work on this taper a little bit more. Stop it here, see what we're looking like. That's pretty good on that end. I think that's pretty good on that end. A little bit of a bump there. I'm gonna all right, calling it quits. Do a little bit of sanding here, and we'll do wet sanding so we can turn off that godforsaken noise. I love the dust collector, but so I need to go and dump out my water and get a fresh one. It's got a bunch of yuck in it. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves while we get some fresh water in here. Okay. Oh, lost my microphone pack. So I don't know, is anybody thinking about maybe trying this baby powder thing out? Is it piquing your interest at all? I would say it works fine. Is it necessary? I don't know. But I do think that it's going to give us a different look than your standard pigments. You know, if you just put pigments in there, like the divine pigments, I think that it would be a little bit harder to get the same sort of look. But there are ways to kind of dull colors. So, you know, I don't know. You could maybe try, it would maybe take a bit of work messing with pigments and stuff. But you might be able to actually get a pretty similar, shoot, I need to cut some more. I need to cut some more sandpaper pieces. Yeesh. I guess that'll do. All right, so we're going to start with, this is a 600 grit. Yeah, it's kind of pastel. And like I said, you can kind of get that, but that dulled effect, maybe a little bit harder with just regular pigment paste. Is it now? It does smell like baby powder. Somebody was like, I bet it's going to smell like baby powder. It smells like baby powder for sure. But you can find talc that has no smell, because that's all that was in the baby powder. It's talc and fragrance, whatever that is. So if you want, this could be interesting for like a, you know, new baby kind of thing, pen gift. That would be kind of funny. Is it powdery? It's not. No, not really. I wouldn't say that it's powdery. Maybe a little bit kind of. I think it's a little bit different. I don't know that powdery is the way that I would explain it. It just, you can kind of tell that it's not just plastic. There's a little bit of something else in there. Yeah, it definitely smells like baby powder. That's hilarious. I think I didn't notice it because it was, you know, the dust collector was sucking all the, you know, dust and fumes and anything. But just sitting here, definitely baby powder. I mean, like, definitely. Wow, that's funny. Let's see, David says, I have the Easywood MIDI. What are the pros and cons of the mini tools? They're just shorter. You know, if you have the mids, so I'm guessing like the mid-size, is that, I think that's like the slightly longer ones, is that what you're talking about? Because I have a mid-size square cutter one, rougher they call it. Let's see if I zoom out. So is this what you're talking about? This one's, I'm pretty sure this is called a mini. And then this one, I gotta get farther away. Let me turn the lathe off before I screw something up. Let me scoot the camera back even further. So, you know, like, I mean, really, if you've already got the mid-size, if you have a whole set of mid-size, I mean, I don't really see the, you know, we're talking like 3 inches difference, like whatever, you know. I like these. These are a little bit more, I like the size, the length, especially for pen turning. Like, I don't need a long handle. But there's something to be said, like, you're going to be able to do, there's more leverage the longer it is, and it's a little bit thicker, you know, I mean, slightly thicker body, let's say. But the cutters are all the same and the bars are the same. The big difference is you've got a longer bar. Okay, so for the handle, there's not that much difference in the handle. But what you will get out of a longer bar is longer reach. So if you look on the side here, you can go deeper you know, get like you could hollow more. You can hang more of the bar over the tool rest than with the minis. But you know, like I said, so if you've already got the mid-size ones, you can do everything that a mini can do. Plus, you've got a little bit more reach. So, I wouldn't go out and buy another set of mini tools if you've already got if you've already got the mid-size. And then I don't know everything about the EasyWood tools, but they also have like a big one, an even bigger one for like serious like roughing of stuff. And it's much heavier. You've got an even longer, it doesn't even tell you what the reach is. You can probably go the whole way. But you've got a bigger bar, so it's going to reduce vibration. So like if you're going to buy another tool set, I guess, if you're going to be turning like large bowls and stuff like that, like that's where you would want to get the full size. It'll just reduce vibration. It'll be an easier turn, but it's going to be hogging off a lot more stuff. Now for resin turning, I don't even think I would recommend the bigger, so it's a bigger cutter too. But for resin turning, like larger bowls and things like that, I actually don't really even recommend using a big one. The number one hollower, like the smaller cutter, is actually a better way to go for larger resin turnings because you're not taking it's less aggressive. And it seems like counterintuitive, like usually for like larger things, and that's why I have a set of the big ones, but I pretty much never use those. I was thinking, oh, I need a bigger cutter and more weight because it's I'm taking more off. But really, you don't actually want to take more off at once. That's just going to cause issues, and especially if you're using a standard cutter, it's just not going to work that well. You're better off with the smaller cutter on resin things, especially hollowing and stuff like that. You're not going to pull out those huge roughers, full-size things. So like if you want to buy another tool, I would say get a number one hollower. That is a very useful tool. This thing can be used for all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to think. I really like their parting tool as well. It works extremely well. They changed the design, and this thing is awesome now. The first iteration that they came out with was kind of meh. It just didn't work as well, and cutters came out, and there was weird stuff going on. But they changed the design, and these things are awesome now. So you don't have to sharpen your parting tool. So those are two tools. If you're like really itching to go get another tool, I would pick one of those two. But if you already have mid-size, I don't really think that the minis are going to really add a whole lot to your toolbox. Okay, so let's get back. So that was a whole dissertation on EasyWood tools. That's just how I think. I don't know. Does anybody else have any other comments, thoughts about that? Yeah. Yeah, they do have an even smaller set, and I have that too. I bought that because if you're like me and you're just like, I gotta have every tool on the planet, they do have this little mini easy. Oh God, I need a wide angle lens. They have this little set. They have like little guys, and there might be other ones even too, but these can be useful. I'm the type of guy that I just really like having the right tool for the right job. But the problem is, like, you don't need these. Like, I've used these like twice, you know. It just depends on what you're doing. Like, you know, in some cases, certain tools may provide a lot of value. If it's like exactly what you need, it gets into some spot that you just can't get really well with some other size tool. You know, okay, cool, get that tool. But, you know, in most cases, I would say most people can totally get away with whether you go with a mini set or the mid-size set. If you've got like the square, the round, and the detailer, I mean, like literally, you can turn anything. I don't know of too many things that you can't do if you've got those three tools. I really can't think of anything offhand. And then the next one that I would say that if you want to round out a set of easy wood tools, the number one hollower is by far the most awesome tool that they make. And I'm not the only one that kind of says this. Carl Jacobson would probably say the same thing. He uses it a ton. It just, for hollowing, obviously, awesome, but it also has other uses, especially because it's got that smaller cutter on it. It's just, that's the fourth tool that I think everybody, if you want to be able to do anything, set of either minis or mid-size, and you could even go with like the starter set. Like they have that, what's their easy, they have like another set that's like, it doesn't have like the stepped handle thing. It's just like basically like the main handle or something like that. Maybe like a little bit bigger than their normal. It doesn't have like the step thing. The starter kit, or I don't know, whatever that is. Like those things will take you anywhere just about. I think that's a good value. Yeah, I like the detailer a lot too. Yeah. The mid-size work fine for pens. Like I said, I don't have a lot of the mid-size. I have a square one, and I bought, this was actually my first one that I bought like forever and a day ago. And it's the mid-size, and it's the rougher. And you know, for roughing, this was back like when I was a wood turner. Like I wasn't even into resin at that point. I do think that there's an advantage if you're going to be doing larger spindles and things. I think that the mid-size are probably a better way to go. Like if all you're doing is turning pens, just get the minis. You know, pens and stoppers and, you know, small bowls. The minis work, they'll do everything. They're great. If you're doing slightly larger, you know, pepper mills or I don't know stuff, if you're doing a little bit larger work, I think that the one set to get would probably be the mid-size. MIDI, I don't know what they call it, mid-size MIDI. I think that having a little bit extra reach and that leverage when you're, especially like when you're roughing things, that's where that's an advantage over the minis. And the mid-size work fine for pens and anything smaller, you know. So that's a good question. We haven't really talked about that for. Like, I don't know if I've ever really talked about that. That was a good one. Micro, maybe that's what the. Is there like a different? So that was like a hollowing micro something. Is there like just a micro set? Also that I don't know about. Is there something else that I need to buy? I'm notorious. I like tools. You know, like there's some people that are like, I can get away with the cheapest, least amount, and like that's empowering, and some people really like that. You know, to be able to do whatever they want with like the most minimal, cheapest thing on the planet. That's not me. I'm much more like, I want the best tool for the job. And I like to have a set. I like to collect tools. So there's a lot of things that I've bought that I don't need. There's a lot of cool, like random cool tools though that I have that, man, I'll tell you what, when I need to use it, if I had to be one of the people, you know, if I needed to do the same job with like, you know, the cheapest or the whatever I have on hand tool, I would not really be happy about it. So there are quite a few things like that where I'm much happier that I have it. Wrong one. Let's go to the next step. How about that? And actually, I'm going to stop and I'm going to do a little bit of lengthwise here. I like doing that. Easy start. That's right. That's a pretty good set. Now, I don't know what the price difference is, and I think the minis are probably a better way to go than the easy starts. But if like you're, you know, if you're like super on a budget, I don't know what the price difference is between those two, a set of minis and a set of middies, mid-size. I don't know what the price differences are, and that's where you'll have to kind of like think about what you're gonna actually probably be doing, turning, and look at your budget and see, how do these things, which one's the best for me. I would say most people are probably better off if you're going for like a smaller, like a shorter set. Just get the mini size, MINI. I wish they would just call them small, medium, and large. That would make things a lot easier. But then I think that if you are like, yeah, I think I want to get into larger bowls and spindles and things like that, then I think the easy choice is just go with the mid-size for sure. If you're just going to buy a set. Yeah, me and Mark. So I think mine comes from my dad had a lot of tools. And the funny thing, so right now, he runs machines. Like, I don't know that machinist is really the right, I've said that in the past and people have, I think, an idea of what a machinist is. And he's really not that. He's more of like a machine operator, and he has a bunch of machines and he can do setups and do different stuff, but he's not really like a traditional, like a machinist, like a educate, he went through the trades as a machinist. Like, he's not just fabricating stuff. He can do certain things with certain tools, but he always had tools though. And he wasn't doing the machine. He was a machine operator, but it's not like his trade had required him to have a bunch of tools. He worked for some other company and ran their machines basically. But he was always a tool guy. And so I kind of got between my dad and I mean, there are very few tools that we don't really have. Now, we don't have a lot of like the carpenter type, we don't have like every single, like, roof nailers and things like that. We don't have that kind of tool stuff, but for just general tools and things, we've got a lot. I've got a lot of woodworking tools. Quite a few turning tools, obviously. The cool thing about woodworking tools, having them, like there's so many things that you can make out of wood, and I know that sounds like stupid, especially with this, crowd, but to say that, obviously that's the thing. But like if you really think about it, how many people do not know how to do stuff, make things at all? And it's almost kind of sad, like, there's a lot of really cool stuff that you can just make by hand. You don't need that many tools to do it. It's pretty cool. Easy start is small. Oh, okay. Yeah, minis, yeah, I would say that that's misleading also, because they're not very mini. They're, yeah, kind of medium small. Great for the price. Yeah, they're the same cutters and all that stuff. So I mean, like, there's no, it's mainly just like the like lengths, reach, those types of things. Nothing else about them. I mean, they're excellent quality tools. The easy starts, they're literally, I mean, what is it? It's a handle, piece of metal, and then the cutter. And, but my biggest thing, I've made some of the, I've made some tools in the past. The handles are not particularly difficult to make. And even like the bar stock and all that, you can get all that stuff. You don't need to get anything fancy. You can just slap whatever together. But I'll tell you what, their cutters are excellent and generally better than other just generic carbide there is a difference, I think, in their cutters. They last longer and they have a keener edge than most of those other generic whatevers. And the beauty of it is, you know, they've got the whole machining process down, and so the cutter fits perfectly on the bar. It's excellent. And some of, you know, many of the other tools, like name brand tools, probably do also pretty well, but making your own, it's much more difficult to get the cutter to really fit like perfect on the end of the bar. That, you know, unless you've got like a machine shop, it's a little bit harder just to kind of just do it. Now, can you turn with it? It's fine, but I think for the price, I'll just give me Easy Wood tools all day. You know, so that's looking pretty good. That's a pretty cool looking pen, guys. I don't know, we haven't even polished it yet. And this could be one of those zones or opportunities to not you know, go for the full gloss. I mean, I'm going to do that on this first one. I'm going to go for, you know, through the magic juice and all that stuff. But on the second one, I'm not. I want to see. Let's just go up to my favorite, like your matte finish kind of thing. I like to go up to 2000 grit, and then I like to give it a little bit. I'll show you what my technique to do like a matte or satin finish or whatever. But I think this lends itself to a satin finish. I mean, that's what it is anyway. And I think for going for gloss, we may, and we'll see after this first one, it may not really look that great. It may be hard to get this glossy. And then it may not even really look right, let's say. So I'm pretty stoked. These are pretty cool. I would like to test a little bit and see like how much baby powder or talc or whatever do you really need to put in these things to get this kind of effect. That's something that I'm very, very curious about. Because I got to be honest, like I might do a line of pens, you know, or blanks, whatever, with this. So I'm just blowing the water out between the blank and the bushings real quick there before we do the polish and wipe that off. Get my speed set up for the... I like to go around 1500 or so for the polishing step. Let's see. Yeah, matte for the win. I like the matte. It looks really cool. Micro uses a smaller size cutter. Yeah, there's like, you know, so the original question was, you know, is there any, you know, should I maybe be looking at the minis? I already have the mid-size. There's just no reason to go get minis if you've already got mid. However, there could be an argument to get the micros because you are getting the smaller cutter. Like there could be situations where that could be useful. Like if you're going to get another set, that would probably be one that I would maybe think about. But it's still, I don't really, I don't know. Unless you've got a reason to get them, I don't know that you really need that, you know. Probably not. I'm gonna go get some shop towels. I like to use those. They're a little bit softer, less abrasive than like your, you know, Bounty. Oh, the beading cutters are awesome. Those things, that's another one to pick up. And I love those things because, you know, it's not like you need to go buy beading tool, you know, like with the handle and all that stuff. The cutters just drop into your I think they fit on either the mid-size or the minis. Where are my, yeah, here they are. Where's my other ones? Oh, there they are. Okay. So I'll just pull these out. If anybody's not aware of these guys, these things are cool. I haven't used them for a while, but I have used them for different things. And they are like excellent. So all you got to do is just buy the cutter. And it fits on, so this is a mini tool. And then this is the cutter. And they have different sizes. Let's try and get that. So that's what it looks like. And so you can make little beads, beading lines or whatever on your blanks or whatever. And they fit on they might even have a full size possibly. I don't know. They might even have different sizes. I've got all the ones that fit on the mid size or the minis. And they just pop onto your tool and you got a beading tool. But it's all you have to buy is the cutter. If you already have as long as you already have the tool handle, a mid-size or a mini. These things that was a really cool. I love how they innovate. I mean, the negative rate cutters, literally, I've said this a million times. Those things were game changers for me. Like literally game changers. I basically was like, I'm not hollowing anything. I hate it. I hated it. I would like white knuckled because I'd always get catches on things when I, turning resin and trying to hollow something. I hated it. Not so much bowls, but like actual real hollowing. And when they came out with the negative rakes, I mean, they you can't get a catch. You can literally just bump it up against the thing and it's not going to catch. So, Easy Wood Tools is a great company, great people, great products. Okay, so let's do a little bit of polishing. Let's see what we can get out of this thing. Now, I would imagine that, if you put less baby powder or whatever, any of those things, flour, corn flour, anything like that, I think they'd all probably kind of do the same thing. But if you put more in, you're going to get more dull kind of thing. And we'll have to see if how polished and everything. We're going to get a gloss. Compared to just putting, pigment in and not having baby powder in it, I think that it would be a lot glossier in that case, But I think if you put a little bit less baby powder, that's why it would be interesting to do some testing to kind of see what's kind of the optimal amount where you get kind of the effect, but you're not wasting too much money on baby powder or whatever, get the effect and maybe also kind of, there may be kind of a balance where you get, more gloss if that's what you're going for less money, more gloss, less money, but you get the effect that you're looking for, kind of thing. Number 2, that grabby number 2. Didn't get me today. Jake's in the house. What's up, dude? Actually, Jake, I got to text you. I've had a question for you. So I'm going to text you after the stream. Nothing. It's not a big deal. I don't know if I've asked, so. What are you up to, man? So Jake, are you going to be having a Black Friday sale? Any details that you want to share with the folks? I didn't catch this morning, so if you mentioned it and I missed it, let me know. And let everybody watching know, just in case they missed the Saturday morning cartoons. So for anybody that's watching right now, if you don't know about Saturday morning cartoons, that's Jake, Jamie, and a bunch of other people. They do resin casting stuff on Saturday mornings. I'm not sure when it starts. It's before I get up. I know that. But it's in the mornings on Saturdays. So make sure to watch that. It's It's on Jake's channel. I'm going to actually drop a link to his YouTube channel just in case, because we got a couple new people that dropped in today. Is Jake are you a? Yeah, okay. So Jake, you could do one. Let's see here. You're a moderator. I'm already at the computer though, so I'll find it. I think I can find it. Nope, that's not it. There we go. I found it. I'm dropping the link now. Boom. So go and check it out. Saturday morning cartoons, they do live streams. They do similar stuff. Different, but similar. It's pretty cool. David, no, I don't have any more of the Christmas blanks, actually. I had someone else sign up, and those were actually an idea from Luke over at Papa J WW Woodworks on Instagram. He came up with, he wanted green and white and then red and white, and I was like, dude, do you mind if I steal your idea, basically, and go for red, white, and green? And he's like, yeah, sure, but I want to buy a couple of them. So a couple of them went to him, and then we had more people sign up for pen blank, and it was all of them that I had. Oh yeah, they do sell the unhandled ones too. That's true. Sorry, going back to the Easy Wood Tools things. Sorry, I'm reading comments, guys. Friday at checkout, 20%. He's doing what I'm doing. I wonder who came up with 20% off first. Oh, Amy's working on the videos for the ornaments. That's cool. Yeah, the ornament auction is going to be awesome this year. I'm telling you guys, if you didn't see some of the ornaments that they shared on the live stream, that's not even all of them. Those ones were awesome. So I think we're on step 4, hopefully. I don't know. Get all caught up in the... Jake comes and he just riles me all up. Gets me all flustered. All right, so we're on to step 5. I'm very curious to see. It is glossy. I mean, it's shiny. And I knew it was going to be shiny. It's just, I think, again, if you stick it next to a pen, blank that you turned up with like the same pigments, colors that you put in this one, but it didn't have baby powder, I think it's going to be glossier. I'm almost like 100%. Now they cut fine on the table saw and everything. I don't even feel like they were necessarily any more like abrasive. Sometimes that happens when you stick stuff in resin. The blanks become like, harder on your tool edges, drill bits and stuff. I did not, if anything, I would say they're almost softer. Because it drilled out great, cut fine. Obviously it turned fine. I didn't feel any difference. All right, last step, number 6. You had yours ready since last year? I think, I don't know what I did last year. I'm not sure. I think last year I did that. I was telling people at the beginning that in the past I've done like, oh, Black Friday, on Friday we're going to have this deal, and then on Saturday this thing, and Monday, whatever, some other day. I'm like, we're doing 20%. From Friday to Monday. So get you some stuff. All right, so, ooh, that's looking pretty good. Looking pretty darn good. Might have to go back and do a little bit more sanding. I feel like first I'm going to put some glasses on so I can see. Because I'm at that age where you can't see anything anymore. Yeah. I'm going to take it off the lathe and got to get it on the right angle with the light. It's not too bad. So it's not sanding problems. I do think that yeah, so it's, I don't know. I'm trying to look at this thing pretty close. And there's like almost a surface to it. So it doesn't really look like sanding scratches. It looks like it's just got kind of a weird surface on it. And that might be the baby powder. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. It has kind of a weird, could be sanding scratch kind of stuff, but I don't know. I feel like I spent a pretty good amount of time sanding this. And I don't know, it's still just dull. So not as bright as it possibly could be, like a kind of normal or non-baby powder blank. So I think that these really lend themselves to that satin finish or matte or whatever you want to call it. I would actually say these might even be more of like a matte. But, I mean, that's a pretty kick-ass pen. Like, looks good. I don't know. You know, like I was saying before, I think that you could get pretty similar, kind of like, you know, these like kind of sort of pastel dullish colors. I think you could get that, or very similar, by just getting the right colors, pigment colors, you know, without having to mess with baby powder, basically. I think you could get a similar look. I don't know. I don't know that it's, now having it finished and trying to kind of gloss it up, I don't know. I'm more interested in seeing what it looks like matte. Okay, so we're going to put that aside for now. And then, like I said, I was telling you guys, I think we fixed the problem with the tube. So let's see if we can get that other one. For anybody that wasn't watching at the beginning of turning, my second one, something was weird with the tube. It got kind of kinked or something on one end. And I was thinking I was going to have to use a different setup than my TBC bushings, but that one fits fine. This one's, yeah, it's still tight, guys. I don't know. I could try to jam that in, but I don't know that I'm getting it out. So I'm just going to go with, I have a solution. So for some reason, this end with my TBC bushings, the TBC bushings are a little bit tighter tolerances usually, but something's going on in there. It's not glue. I think the tube got kind of kinked or something. So typically your standard, this is just a standard, you know, mandrel style bushing with the hole going through. Those things are way lower tolerance, like they'll fit in anything. And I'm going to use one of these adapters. So it's just a little bit different setup, but it'll fix the issue I'm having. Okay. Let's get our sanding junk out of the way. And we're not going to need the polishing stuff. So on this one, we're going to go for kind of that matte satin, whatever you want to call it, finish. See how that looks. And all that entails, it's nothing fancy. It's actually easier. All we're doing is we're just basically going to sand it up to a lower grit. We're not going to polish the heck out of it. Just gonna go up, and I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna see what it looks like after sanding with 1,000 grit on this one, and then if I'm like, yeah, that's okay, that just looks like I didn't sand it enough. Usually, what I do is go to 2,000 grit for this, matte satin whatever finish. And I like the looks of it personally. I think it's really cool. One of my favorite pens that I ever made. And this was, I think, actually the first time I did a satin finish, was the one that I made down at Turner's Warehouse. Chad helped me make my, this wasn't my first bespoke pen, but he was I went down there specifically to get some instruction on these things. And I was like, oh, I think I'm going to try this matte or satin finish. And I got to be honest, this is one of my favorite. It feels different than if you go for the full gloss and all that stuff. It feels really nice and soft. It feels like it feels softer for some reason in your hand. So I really like it. And the truth is, you know what I would do if you sell pens? I would charge more for the satin finish. Like, make it a thing and be like, well, we could do a satin finish for you if you want, but that's going to cost you $10 more. And all you're doing is less work, basically. That'd be hilarious. That's how you run a business. Charge more for the easier thing. So, all right, so let's get some stuff out of the way here. I'm going to put I don't need my detailer, that's for sure. Put that in there. Where's I lost my turning tool. Oh, there it is. Okay, so hold on real quick. This is gonna, for anybody that doesn't know, I'm pretty OCD about things, and all these tools ended up getting totally out of place, so I can't handle it. Much better. Problem is, I grab for things and I don't need I barely use the biggest tools that they make. I don't need that up front. Okay, so let's see here. Where are we at? Going back to the chat. Kevin's working on a new one for next year already. Sweet. I know that I'm telling you, the ornaments are crazy. I know. Oh, yeah, that's true, Kev. How could you possibly judge winners in that? Like, I don't, oh, man. Oh, it's just sand between centers, no bushings? Yeah, that's a pretty good way to do it. Yeah, good marketing. Your shop's all right. The thing is, like, your shop, things are where they should be for the most part. And like, I mean, really, if you look at my shop, it's not much different than yours. It's a mess everywhere. I know where the things are, but for things that I do, like in this case, like, yeah, I got to put things, but like my dad drives me absolutely nuts. Usually it's the dad that's like, put the tools back where you got them, right? Like, it's, no, he's like a 5-year-old and he's like, I don't know where I left any of my tools. I'm like, you have like 50 toolboxes. Why don't you just put the screwdrivers in that one drawer? And it just drives me absolutely crazy. So there's certain things that I get crazy about. And even at home, Gretchen and I'm like, ugh, there's a place for everything and everything in its place. And she's like, what? I don't know where it went. I'm OCD though, I think. I haven't been clinically whatever, but I got a little bit of something going on. Okay, so I'm not going to take my gloves off because I'm going to have to just waste them and put them on, on again when I sand again. So, here we go. A little bit too close. So I should stop kind of real quick. I was talking about whether it's worth doing the baby powder thing. The main advantage is you're gonna get like thicker resin, right? So that's another thing to factor in on how much you would actually put in there and all that, and whether you would do it or not. And I think this one's gonna be a little bit more telling than that first one about what kind of results do we get and how does this all look. But that is kind of one of the things, is the thickness of the resin when you're pouring it without having to wait till it's like 100,000 degrees, you know, setting up on you. It's just thicker as it is. Looking good so far. Alright, so let's stop it and see where we're at here. Oh, that's looking pretty cool. It looks tie-dye almost. Hold on. Let me take one more pass kind of to clean things up, and I'll get the camera. Try and kind of clean up the surface just a little bit, get some of those tool marks out. Let's get the camera around. Wow. I absolutely love this. Wow, that one's pretty cool. I don't know if it's just the colors or the thickness, you know, that we got out of it, but the swirls are like fabulous on this. Okay. I think I'm going to call it. We're going to do some wet sanding now. So, like I said, I'm not going to go up for full gloss. We're going to kind of go for like a matte. These terms, yeah, I don't know what they mean exactly. I would say matte if you're literally gonna call something, if you wanted to have a different thing. So the way that the sheens go, generally matte is going to be your dullest, satin should be the next highest, semi-gloss would be the next highest, and then gloss. That's kind of how they do things in like the paint world. Matte is pretty dull though, so I don't know if I'd call it that. Satin might be a better word, possibly. I would definitely call, like, if this was just a normal Alumilite clear blank and I sanded it to 2000, I would call that satin. Matte is just a little bit duller or whatever. To me, I think anyway. I don't know that there's a whole lot of use for like a semi-gloss in like pens or whatever. I think that it would just look like a not very glossy pen. But the satin thing does, it drops it on. It might be matte, I don't know. What do you guys think? Matte, satin? Do you care? What am I doing here? I don't need those. Okay, so I'm gonna start again with 600 grit. Yeah, it kind of looks marbled, huh? So precise, I know. Yeah, the dust collection. Oh yeah, Jake just got I love you got the Gorilla, Super Gorilla, whatever. It's like the 5 horsepower or whatever, their normal thing, right? I love it. I'm not sold on how much I paid for the ductwork. I went for the Nordfab ductwork. And even Oneida, the lady at Oneida was like, and they didn't sponsor it or anything, but I paid full price. But she was like, "Are you sure you want to spend that much? It's going to literally double the cost. Like it costs as much as the dust collector did, just the duct work." But I was doing it alone and figured the easier connections would probably be worth it. But oh, it hurt. Really hurt the pocketbook. That one I'm on the fence. I'm very the type of person that's like just it hurts once, but you know, if you're getting like a good tool or whatever, you know. And I usually just kind of move on because like I got a lot, you know, like the saw stop wasn't particularly cheap, although it wasn't that much more expensive than like a Powermatic or something at the time. But you know, some of my favorite kind of expensive tools, like the saw stop, I bought an 8-inch Powermatic joiner. That thing was expensive, but that thing is amazing. Festool, anything. I don't know, you know, like I bought like Lee Nielsen hand planes. They're pretty good. They're not like super over the top expensive, but you know, they were brand new and not cheap. And I got a lot. So like there's things like that where I'm like, yeah, whatever. That dust collector though, I'm still like, oh, it's been years since I bought that and I'm still like, man, I don't know. The dust collector itself, no problem. I had no way. I have no regrets on that. It's the duct work. Don't know that I needed to buy the snap together ones. Yeah, it kind of does look like a truth stone type deal. Oh, you're stirred paint with screwdrivers? That's funny. I'm scrolling up a little bit here. So I want to give this a good sanding with the 600, make sure, because there was a little bit more tool marks. Like there is a difference to the surface of this. I wouldn't call it powdery. I don't know. Maybe, but I mean, shavings were coming off and everything. So I don't know. It's not like the blanks are powdery. I don't want to say that because I've turned some powdery blanks, and that's what I would call powdery blanks, and it's not like crumbly, terrible. It's still resin, but it's a different feel. I don't know. I don't even feel like it's like denser feeling really necessarily. I don't know, like a stone blank or something like that. It's different. I don't know how to explain it, but I do feel like I got more tool marks than I normally do on just a normal Alumilite blank. So without baby powder in it. So I'm just going to give this a little bit of extra time with the 600 to make sure I get all the tool marks out, and then we'll just creep up to, I think I'm going to maybe go with, I don't know. Usually in the past I've used the silicon carbide, your wet dry sandpaper, rather than what's that stuff called? The Zona paper. So I don't know what the exactly equivalent, what I normally do on these things would be. I'm going to look up, I have kind of a cheat sheet. I don't know how accurate it is, but on kind of an equivalent grit level of Zona paper versus like just, whatever, the P scale sandpapers. Okay, so there's that. Wipe that off. $600. So according to my cheat sheet, the green is maybe around 700. The gray is maybe 1350. Seems like a pretty big jump though. And the blue is 2500. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it could be. I think I'm just going to use I'm going to go with what I know gives me the result that I'm looking for. So we're going to go with 800 next. And for this finish, I really try to not, once I get the 600 laid down, I get a good surface with my 600, then I'm really being careful not to put too much pressure on the successive grits. Just let the sandpaper do the work. You really don't want to get deeper scratches than if you press too hard, you're actually going to kind of get a little bit more aggressive with the sandpaper. So 800 grit could turn into kind of 750 or something. I don't know. It's kind of how I feel about it. So I try to give it a pretty light touch and just go a little bit longer per grit and let it go up there, because you're leaving scratches in, right? Visible scratches. So we need to not be too aggressive with our sandpapers. And then I'll lightly do this way. And then I'm going to jump to 1000 next. And I don't know, the Zona papers might have worked just fine, but I would prefer to just do what I know, how I know to get what I'm looking for, you know. I gotta find some 1,000 grit. I think this is 1,000. What I need to do, I need to 3D print like a sandpaper separator tray thing. They have these apps where you can just like program in how many little like sections and things and all this that you want to create and like the dimensions of each one. I need to do that for these little sandpaper strips because it's just chaotic in that. There's my OCD again. But it's just a pain because I don't know what you know, when you cut all these things up, I didn't even mark this, so is it 1,000? I don't know. I'd rather just have a little slot and make sure that if it's in that slot, it should probably be 1,000. So I'm kind of lightly trying to be light about this, and we're going to stop. I want to see what this looks like just at 1,000. Very lightly. All right, now this is my trick. You know, we just sanded with the scratch marks going around the blank, right? Those are going to be totally visible. And so one of the things we do, you know, is we go kind of like with the length of the blank. That can kind of help get rid of that. But even that is going to be kind of noticeable. Like it's all going in the same direction. And so I am going to do that a little bit. But I think the best way to go is to, by hand, go in like circles, kind of like a random orbit sander, and just very lightly break up what direction, how the swirl marks are going, make them more random. And I think that that's going to give your eyes, like your eyes are not going to be able to just focus on this scratch mark. It's going to be just totally random, and I don't think your eyes are going to pick up as much of that, you know, the scratches that are going on in there. I don't know if that's a trick. I don't know if that everybody does that or whatever, but that's what I do, and it seems to work. Seems to help a little bit. Definitely way better than if you just leave it like radial scratches, you know, with the scratches that are left with the lathe running. It's way better than that for sure. You could maybe just get away with kind of just going with the lengthwise afterwards, but let's see what this looks like. Try and get a good shot, kind of maybe like direct. No, that's not working. Sorry, guys. There we go. That focused? All right, yeah, that's pretty cool, but I do think we need to go higher. Partly because the 1,000 grit scratches are just way more noticeable. That's why 2,000 is kind of like that sweet spot for me where you just don't really see it as much, I don't think. 800, 1,000. Now, I could do 1,500 and then 2,000, but I think I can get away with just going 1 to 2,000. So that's what we're going to try. I would recommend, if you're going to do this, to maybe do the 1,500 then 2,000. You're just probably going to have better results, but I think I can get away. This is what I usually do, I think, so I'm just going to do it. This is 2,000 grit. Again, nice and light. I'm not putting a lot of pressure at all. That's very close up, I think. How about that? Chris Walters, what's going on? If you just do the green You get a nice matte? Okay. I haven't tried, I haven't really played around with it. I definitely haven't compared it to this. And so here's the other thing. If I find like this is starting to get like too glossy, like I feel like it's trying to be something that it's not, or I just don't like how much gloss it is, the best part is all you got to do is just knock it down with, 1500, or I can go back down. In fact, if I want to, I can test out Chad's suggestion for the green. All I got to do is just sand with the green, even though I went higher. This may be obvious, but that's all you got to do. And then you got matte with the green. So we can kind of play around with this and just kind of see where do we like it? What do we like? I will say that the Zona papers are easier to kind of do this like circular sanding. Like it feels kind of like rough. Sometimes when I'm sanding with like 2000 and going around in circles, it feels like it's kind of scratching it more so than the polishing papers from Zona. It just doesn't feel good. It feels like I'm scratching it here and there. So I don't know. I don't know what that means, but let's dry this guy off and see how I feel about it. Like I said, I would probably call this like, oh, I like that a lot actually. I would call this like a satin, I think. I'm guessing I would call like that green, just using the green Zona, that's probably more like a matte. To me, I like this. It's like hinting, like it's like, oh, there's a little bit of a reflection kind of, but there are scratches going on in here that I don't see. That's the problem with the 2000. I'm going to try and just hit this with the gray, because I'm kind of guessing that the gray is a little bit more up in the 2000 area. This works better for like doing this. It doesn't feel like it's like scratching it to heck. I'm just going to do a little bit of gray here, see what that looks like. See if I can get rid of some of those scratches that I saw. Definitely side in this purple area. Let's see what that looks like. And if they're still there, I think I'll drop down to the green. See if that helps anything out. Okay, so let me get in here. Okay, that fixed it. And I like that. That looks pretty good too. I don't know. I think you're better off just doing the Zona, guys. I think that the green is probably going to give you a matte, and if you want to go for like a satin, quote unquote, hit it with the gray. Let's hit it with some green. I know we're just sanding this thing to death, but I like that. I would say that that's pretty equivalent to the 2000 grit that I just did. But let's go with this green and let's see what this looks like. The green Zona paper. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. I'm gonna do it with the lathe running because I want to kind of take out that gray finish, or whatever. I want to dull down some of that area. So let's just give it a little bit of time actually running with the green. Okay, I think that's fine. And then we'll do a little bit of this. Like I said, I really do think, I don't know, I'm biased because it's my idea, but I really think that this helps a lot to do this kind of circular, light sanding, just to kind of break up those swirl marks a little bit more. It just makes the surface, just look even. Like there's no weird lines going on generally. But you really want to do this with a light, very light touch. Just trying to kind of break things up a little bit so your eyes aren't focusing on anything except for like the colors. Okay, I'm going to call that good. Right off. Zoom it in. Oop, other way. Sorry. There we go. Yeah, I would definitely call that like a matte. It definitely does dull it more. That's interesting. I like that. I think I like the gray personally. I think I like the gray a little bit better. Part of the problem is this orange is almost a little bit, it feels transparent almost. I don't know. You can kind of see some of those scratches. Yes, I got to be honest. I like the gray better personally. So I'm just gonna go and do a little bit of the circular. It seemed like the surface really looked like what I want, what I have in my head after we did with the gray. So I'm just gonna go back up. I know we're pretty zoomed in here, but. And granted, I'm looking at this with like magnifying glasses on, not like lenses, just like, readers, like a 3x reader. I'm kind of picking it apart a little bit, but all right, let's see what that looks like. It's not significantly different looking, actually, now that I'm really kind of paying attention to this. However, I can't see any scratches. I think that's kind of the difference for me. Like there was a couple areas where my eyes could pick up the green scratch marks. I really can't tell what's going on with this after hitting it with the gray. So I don't know. I kind of think I think the gray is probably a good place to stop. Like nobody's going to see any like scratch marks. It really evens the surface out. So gray is a good one. So 600, I would just do 600 green and then gray and you're done. Like I said, and I would seriously charge $10 more for the satin finish or matte or whatever you want to call it. Charge $10 more. Be like, hey, that's an upsell. And then be like, oh, and it's the hottest thing this year. That's what everybody's doing this 2024 Christmas season. But it'll cost you. You wouldn't believe what I have to do to get that finish perfect. All right, so I got to put my bushings away in the right places here. Hold on a minute while I do that. I'm going to hold it up like vertically like I usually do also so you can see that. Like look, where did my, don't want to lose my adapter bushings because they are extremely important to me. And my other Sierra bushing. Okay, so I got all my bushings set up. So let's put this under the light. That thing is cool, guys. I'm digging this a lot. I mean, if I was going to name this blank, I'd just call it Acid Trip. So I think it's pretty obvious that these are going to be going into the Pen Blank Club boxes next month. I want to put these side by side, actually, and I have pretty good lighting, and I think you can see. I really like the matte better, or the satin. And I know that these are two different blanks, kind of like this one's blobbier, but I don't know. I really think that these really lend themselves to this satin finish. Part of the problem is if you're going to make this more glossy, I was telling you that it kind of has like the surface has kind of a weirdness to it. It's just not like a normal, pigments with Alumilite clear. It just you can kind of see like a surface pattern or something on it. And the gloss is going to make that more apparent. Whereas if you just go with this satin or matte, you don't see anything. It's just a matte color, and that's all you're seeing is just the surface of this thing. So, and it feels buttery smooth. I love it. So pretty sweet. I don't know. What do you guys think? I gotta see what you guys think about this. I'm pretty stoked. By the way, nobody's going to be getting any of the blue and yellow baby powder blanks either. I'll have to make some more of these ones, but I don't know. These I might add something like this. I don't know if it's going to be these exact colors or whatever, or if I'll have even different, more options or something. But I think I might add something like this to the website, to my normal thing. Not anytime soon, but. All right, so let's see here. We're going to go with, I think I'm going to go with kind of like this, the brushed pewter. So again, Turner's Warehouse sent me a whole box full of kits, but I picked out these ones. So this is a brushed pewter. I think that kind of feels like it should go with the satin finish thing. It's kind of like a, brushed in a sense finish. So this is a Sirocco, and it's one of the Buford ink kits. It's a little bit different than Sierra's. There's a few more parts going on here, so I'm going to look at this and figure out how they go together and all that. Looks like that doesn't seem right. I'm thinking. How does this work? Oh, so, okay, so this clip is definitely a little bit too bent here. I think you just, nope. I got it. I figured it out, guys. Okay, so this part goes in the top. Screw that in. I don't know if you're supposed to do this first or second or whatever, but this thing just presses down onto that. And that's how you would load, you could load your ink. Okay, so we got that part. It's not that big of a deal. Now, which way do we want to go here? I think I want to break up this big blob of orange with the clip. I think that'll help me out. I like all these little guys, little streams of things. So we're going to put the nib end down here. I think I'm going to zoom you guys in just a bit more. Let's see if we can get things set up a little bit here. And I want to stop. I want to read you guys' comments. I haven't had a chance to look at them yet. So let's get this thing kind of centered. We'll zoom in a little bit more. And I'm going to take a quick break, read the comments here. Ah, Brian, so I just saw your post. It was snowing where you were. You were driving. So yeah, I was shouting out all your bushes. I had to kind of come up with a weird thing that for some reason one side of this thing was like bent, one of the like tube, and I couldn't get the bushing in, so I ended up having to go with like a standard bushing because those things have like the tolerances are terrible. So they usually fit even if something's kind of jacked up. So I went with a standard bushing, like a mandrel bushing, and then I used your adapters, which are awesome. Okay, so Chris had a question. Let's see here. Where did that go? How long should I use each zone of paper? Well, it just depends. I don't really have a really great answer for that. I mean, if I had to throw, I don't know how long I do. I just kind of go by feel personally. I think if you did like, so my biggest thing is the first grit, whatever you're, getting your tool marks out and all that kind of stuff. That's the most important step. Like you have to make sure that you've gotten all those tool marks out for sure. Otherwise you're going to have weird bumpy junk going on, and you may not notice if you don't really pay attention to that first grit. Make sure that you've gotten every little dip or tool mark out. That's the most important. So make sure you get all the tool marks out, and then after that, all you're doing is just taking out the previous grit scratches. So the biggest question is how big of a jump is each grit? That's really what kind of determines it. But I'd say like if you just sand, once you've knocked out the tool marks, first grit, whatever you're doing. Mine is usually 600 grit. And then once you get to like the Zona papers, I mean like a minute, maybe 30 seconds. 30 seconds to a minute on each grit should be plenty, I think, for me. I haven't timed it. I don't even think I did that much. I don't know. Let's see here. Scrolling down. Barb, yeah, we got some pink in there. We did it. It looks good too. I like that pink. Oh, that's a good idea for do a poll. This is how I do it. Let's see, start a poll. We're going to do it here. Okay, we got the poll rolling. Matte or gloss? Let's see here. Yep. Unsure about powder's longevity? I'm not sure what you're asking there, Kev. Yeah, I don't think that the baby powder is doing anything. It thickened it up. I don't think once the resin cures, I don't really think that there's like I don't think it's doing anything really. And to be honest, this isn't like super weird. People have been adding talc specifically, as well as many other things, fillers, to resins in general for decades. This isn't something I came up with that I was going to be super unique and witty about. In the boating industry, they do a lot of stuff, and they'll fill with different things to get different effects. I mean, these fillers mainly, they're going to thicken the resin. That's the point, and that's why I did it. That's why I did this specifically to see if, okay, let's artificially thicken the resin without having to worry about temperatures and all these things. Let's see if we can thicken it, and if it does anything to aid in specifically this blue and yellow pigment color bleed issue that I have. But you can buy porcelain powder from Alumilite. That adds, you can add that into it. And people use this stuff also for, on this little label, it says for cold casting. Cold casting is basically like trying to make something look metal or porcelain, but it's just plastic resin, Cold casting is creating the effect. Like if you were trying to make, like if you were replicating like a bust, somebody's face with resin and you're making copies of it, you could add like this porcelain powder and it'll look like porcelain, but it's just resin. So that's one thing. It'll thicken it. They also have stuff called micro balloons, and not just Alumilite, but these are tiny glass spheres used to thicken or extend the, whatever this is, the volume. You know, so it's also adding the amount that's in the cup if you dump a bunch of stuff. But talc is another one that people use. I even bought some marble powder. And again, it says on there you can put it in polyester or polyurethane. So, you know, adding this, it's think about it. I would say actually the best way to think about this is like, it's no different than dumping a bunch of mica powder in, right? Like we're not worrying about like the longevity of mica powder. It just doesn't do anything. Once it's cured in there, it's okay. So there's pearlescence. In this case, there's just talciness. So yeah, I don't think we have to worry about anything. Oh, this is a pressable part. Okay, so all right, so I'm going to put the clip there. A lot of orange. I really blobbed that orange at the top of that thing. Does this one unscrew? No. So the way to fill it is the only way on this Sirocco kit is unscrewing the whatever, this thing. Finial thing. The only problem is the way this works, I have to press on the, I think I'm actually going to put a little bit of blue shop towel in between the ram thing, because it's like just round. I don't really like that. Just so it hopefully doesn't like really mar it. Oh man, that's looking cool. That is a good pen. I like that, like a lot. See what I mean though? Like you can't really see. I mean, part of the thing is when you do a satin finish, the light isn't reflecting off the surface as much. So that's one reason why you're really not going to see a lot of scratches. Scratches are definitely evident on glossy. They stand out more, and definitely on darker backgrounds. But it just all blends in if you do that circular thing. If I would have just left it, like I took the green or the gray and just spun it, you know, had it spinning on the lathe and left it there, like you would see stuff. I do, and I don't even have great vision at this point. So I do think that doing just and you don't even have to sit there for like 3 hours circular sanding it. Just break it up a little bit and your eyes just won't see anything. And if there are any slightly deeper kind of scratches that are standing out, that also just, like I said, and you want to be light, just a light little sanding, it'll just get rid of any surface flaws, like let's say. And that's assuming that you've sanded, you know, well. You've gotten all the previous grit scratches out up to the green or gray or whatever. But man, I like that a lot. So let's drop our ink in there. So like I said, I will be doing so, and I think I'm going to re-pour. Well, I don't know. I like both of them actually. So I was going to say I'll just the re-pours I'm going to do probably all stirring. I'm going to, you know, do use the stir stick in all the re-pour, because I only have, you know, we only have 5 blanks left from the original pour, so I'm obviously going to have to make more of these for the pen blank club. But I think I'm going to do the stirring. I think that's a little bit better. But there's 2 of these left. I'm going to put 2 people are going to win those guys, I think. Man, I gotta look at this again. That is wicked. Looking good. Okay, so let's go with, we're gonna go with the banker kit. And again, the banker kits are on sale for the, next Tuesday's sale at Turner's Warehouse. So let's see how the banker kit goes together. It might go together extremely similarly. Let's see. We got the nib section. Got our clip. Whatever you call this piece. Yep, I think it's going to go together about the same. So, screw that guy in. That goes on there, but guessing the clip, oh no, the clip's going to go on the bottom here. Clip's going to go down there. And we just pop that guy just kind of pops on. You can push it on. So pretty much the same way. Now let's look at this guy. Again, I think I'm going to cover that orange blob. I don't love the orange as much. Okay, got that side done. I'm going to do the same thing here. So what happens if you unscrew this? Oh, okay. I'm just going to unscrew it. Do it that way. I don't have as much problem pressing on something flat, especially since we're going to cover that up anyway when we screw that thing on. And we just put that like that. Ooh, I like these bankers. And let's drop our ink in. Get in there. Hold the little nubbin off. So what do you guys think of that? That looks pretty good too. You want to change your vote for the poll. That looks pretty good too. All right, so let's drop those guys in the trash. I got a couple more too. I might have to make a couple more pens, guys. I got the other halves of these blanks. So I'll keep those and do something with them. So let's see here. What do you guys think? According to the poll, let's see what the poll says. I don't want to end it. Let's see. 68% like the matte. Yep, the matte's pretty good. All right, so let's see here. I don't know where the last message I saw. Oh, to see how it threads. I think it'll probably thread fine. What time is it? Hold on a minute, guys. No. Okay, so really quickly, I may have to take a call in the middle of this. Let's go back to the lathe, actually. That's the wrong thing, turning. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to take the Michigan blank over to the lathe real quick? That's a good question about threading. I don't, it's, as I was saying before though, it's not making it, it feels different. It feels like a little bit different than a normal Alumilite blank, but I would actually say if anything, it's softer. Or, I don't even know if soft is, yeah, maybe softer. There's slightly different, you know, like when you're looking at the properties, the specifications of different resins, there's like elongation percentages and like tensile strength, and like I don't even know if hardness specifically is really the thing that it changed, but it just feels a little bit different to me. Let's see here. Oh, that's pretty wobbly. Well, whatever. I don't really care that much about it. It's not going to make any difference. It's still going to drill a hole in the center of this thing, so let's do that. So I think the easiest way to go, I'm just going to do inside threads, I think. Because otherwise I'd have to totally like true up a blank, and I don't want to do that. So what am I looking for here? We'll do a 10-1, 10 millimeter. And the correct thread thing for that is 9, I think. Body. We're going to do fix the 10. Let's stay here. T-bit. Okay, so let me look. Sorry, guys. Double checking to make sure I cut the right hole. Yeah, so 9 millimeter is what you want. It's the 10 minus the 1. I think I have a 9 millimeter up here somewhere. Yep. Okay. So let's drill we're going to drill a 9 millimeter hole here real quick. I got to get the camera switched over here. Drilling went perfectly fine. There was absolutely no, like that's kind of what I'm basing this on. It cut fine on the table saw. The drilling was fine. Definitely smells like baby powder. Oh man. Oh shoot. Okay. Because like this drilling, I mean, it's just drilling like it's nothing. It is a good, like probably brand new drill bit, but I mean, it drills like butter. And so let me get I'll get my tapping things out here. Where's that? Get my Neil's niche. I'm not even going to use like cutting fluid, you know, WD-40 or anything. We're just going to tap this thing. Let's turn that off. It's tapping like butter. You know, and like the threads or whatever are fine. You know, it's not like they're like crumbling. It's, you know, it's holding together on the, you know, shavings or whatever. And let's put let's see here. Let's put, well, that's not going to fit. Not that either. Okay. Don't I have a section somewhere? I'm pretty sure I got a section somewhere. I'll just pull this one out. My ink thing is not going to fit, but I mean, I don't know that screwing this in is really doing doing anything for us, but you know, I mean, I can't see any reason why you couldn't tap this stuff, and I don't think that there would probably be any difference between baby powder, which is talc, corn. What's the other one? What was the other one? Corn flour? Is that the other one that they're putting in baby powder now? I don't bake. I don't know what all these different things are. Corn flour or like flour itself probably is the same. Or, yeah, I mean, it's resilient. It's almost like it's softer material. So I think that it's probably even, if anything, it may be better. Like one thing that I saw, I actually did a little bit of research online, and somebody was saying that for, you know, like if you're not familiar, let's go with this one. I don't know if that matters. I don't know if we're going to be able to, let's see. I have a light here, so let's see if I can get more light on the situation. I don't know if it's going to really show you the threads. Problem is it's picking up my other hand. I don't think that's showing you anything. Yeah, it really doesn't want to focus. Maybe if we get all the rest of the stuff out of the background, maybe it'll... I can't get this camera to focus on this. There we go. Like I said, it's not crumbly or anything like that. It's, if anything, like softer. But anyway, so I was reading this thing about fillers for resins. Where are we at here? Intro. And even they were saying that if you use polyester resin, which if you're familiar with that, it's like brittle. Like that stuff sucks. Like if you drop a blank, like a full-size pen blank, if you just drop it on concrete, it can shatter. So that stuff is super brittle. And like talc in some of these things, you can actually just add that to polyester resin and it makes it less brittle. So I think that it's taking alumilite, which is not brittle in the first place, and making it even less brittle, which means it's a little bit spongier maybe, or softer kind of. But I mean, it's hard, you know. It's not like it's bending or anything like that. So I think it's one of those weird specifications, like elongation amounts, where it's kind of making it a little bit springier. It might be the same hardness level though as normal alumilite. So it's kind of interesting. One thing that I also wanted to mention, I know I probably should have said this at the beginning. The one thing that you really probably need to be careful about if you're going to be adding talc or wheat flour or any of these things, those can probably grab a significant amount of moisture out of the air. And if you dump it into a urethane resin like Alumilite Clear, it may react and cause weird, foaming or bubbling or something like that, a bad reaction in your resin. So what I would do is probably, if you're especially, so I'm in a very dry climate, so generally I don't have to worry about moisture issues, especially like humidity related moisture issues. But you might want to put like desiccant bags. Like, I don't know, you're not going to like put it in the oven, like we normally do for wood. This is a case where I think what you would want to do is use like a desiccant, put it in like a Ziploc bag, put a bunch of those desiccant bags, or you can just buy the bulk desiccant, put it in around there, and that'll suck up the moisture hopefully faster than like flour or whatever would. So that's the one thing that could be bad about this stuff, using it. Probably shouldn't have too many issues with that unless it was just absolutely soaking wet for some reason. It's like 1,000% humidity and it's been sitting out on your desk in the shop outside forever. But I don't think you should really have too many issues with that with like epoxy. It's probably not going to be a big deal, but urethanes are very sensitive. And so Alumilite Clear Slow, it may not like that if there's some significant amount of moisture in the, talc or whatever it is. So let's see here. Yeah, the kit on that one, the Sirocco, I really like that. That's a good one. It's a Beaufort. Okay, so corn starch. That's right, not corn flour. Corn starch. And I don't know if those things were talc, or I don't know if that absorbs moisture. I would imagine it does, though. Probably. So that's why I mentioned it. I don't know. There was no issues with this stuff. The other thing that it could do also is cause bubbles in the finished product, and that's something that I actually kind of thought might have happened. If there was some moisture in there, even with a pressure pot, if there's moisture involved, you still can get bubbles like in the middle of the blank, and there was none. It was a perfect surface in there. So anyway, it should be pretty cool. So just before we finish the poll out, we finished the poll with 65% liking the matte and 35% liking the gloss. I really like the matte too. It was pretty good. So cool. Pretty awesome. So don't forget, guys, Turner's Warehouse, the Black Friday deals begin on Tuesday. Tons of really good deals. Like I said, I was looking at the little kind of brochure thing and it had a bunch of different things. There was ring making, there was knife making stuff, there was pen turning, obviously. There was, what was the other one? Carving sets and things. All kinds of good deals, ranging 15% on up. So make sure to, if you're not following Turner's Warehouse on Instagram, I highly recommend that you do, because I don't know, they might even drop some random stuff that wasn't even in the normal ad. But definitely really good deals starting Tuesday going through till the next Tuesday. So this Tuesday, the whatever day that is, 25th or something like that. What day is that? Today's the 23rd. I don't care what's new in calendar. 23rd. So 26th, starting on the 26th and going through the 3rd. That's the Turner's Warehouse goodies. I do know that Jake's having some deals over at Northside Custom Crafts, and I'm doing deals. So Jake, what's your dates for your Black Friday sales? And he's doing 20% off, same as me. I'm doing 20% off, and it's starting on actually Black Friday because I feel like I'm a purist. I'm just really annoyed. There were people literally in October talking about Black Friday sales happening in October, and I'm like, really? It's not even close. It's a month away. So I'm doing Black Friday. We're starting on Friday, and it's going to go through Monday. Or midnight or whatever on Monday. So pretty much till almost Tuesday. 20% off. Ornament auction, same time on Tuesday. Well, there you go. So it's starting up and it's going for a few days. I don't know how long the auctions are going for, but we need to definitely tell everybody, tell all your friends. This is the one time where we as the pen turners, the makers, and we got all these friends and family that are like, I don't really get what you're doing or understand you. This is a time where you're like, no, you need to just go bid on some ornaments. They can everybody on the planet can understand this and enjoy and partake. So tell all your friends and family, send out a blast to all your friends and all that stuff. And let's get as many bids on these ornaments as we can, because again, I saw the quality too. And they're awesome this year. They're always awesome, but even this year is even better. So it's pretty cool. So anyway, guys, I think that's about it. I got to wrap it up. Gretchen's going to be calling me in a few minutes. We got a few Thanksgiving plans to iron out. So anyway, again, I'll be dumping these guys. They will be, and I'll have to make some more, obviously. I'm probably going to have to buy more baby powder. But I'll be making some more baby powder blanks. Might even try cornstarch, just to see how that goes. I don't know, it's probably the same thing. But those will be going in the Pen Blank Club. That is one thing that I'm not going to be able to discount for Black Friday, unfortunately. I got to think about that. But everything else on my website, all the products are going to be 20% off from Friday to Tuesday. And I think that's about it, guys. So anyway, thanks for joining the fun tonight. It was a pretty fun experiment. I really enjoyed this, and I'm really glad that they turned out good. Pretty awesome stuff. Give it a try. I mean, one other thing that it will do is it will extend the amount of, like, you'll have to use less resin. So this is another thing to think about. The more junk, especially if it's cheap junk, you can add to your resin, the less resin you actually have to use. So it could save you some money. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the evening. And I guess we won't see you until next Saturday, huh? So hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving if you're in the States or celebrating it. Hopefully you guys will have some good stuff. If you're traveling, safe travels. But yeah, we'll be back next Saturday. We'll do something else that's kind of crazy and fun. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the evening. So have a great night, and I'll see you guys on the next stream.